Guys, when life gives you lemons, you buy Prado 90, and what's the first mod you do? 2-inch body lift. Alright, I'm going to run the intro. Do we have an intro?
That's a Prado?
That is a Prado, mate.
Alright guys, so what we are going to do today is I'm going to show you the 2-inch body lift install and how I did it. Now, I did it with a friend who's a mechanic, so he sort of knew what was going on. I had no idea what was going on. But what I can do, because it's already in the car, I can show you what we did, the tips and advice I can give you, and where the body mounts are. So we're going to run through the car, we'll start from the front, work to the back, and yeah, I'll just show you how to do it. Okay guys, so we're just going to jump in the bonnet here, and if you just come over here, cameraman. So pretty much, as you can see the engine, the whole engine is sitting 2 inches lower than it normally should because the whole body's gone up. Now, if you look down here, it might be hard to get down in there, but if you see down here, there's a hole here, a bolt, and if you go down a little bit more, there's just that little hook down there. There you go, you can see it there, that little hook. So what this is, pretty much this bolt used to be where the radiator was. So the problem is when you do the body lift, the radiator is connected to the body, but the engine is connected to the chassis, obviously. So as you're doing it, the radiator, the engine's like this, radiator's like this, and then it's going like that. So to allow for that, because all the radiator hoses kink, which is bad. So what we've done here, from Toyota, there's actually a hole, if you come back in again, there's actually a hole down there that was already in there from Toyota, down there. And what we're able to do, actually, this bolt used to be up here, take that out, put it down there, and then we're able to put that hook in that hole. And what that allows us is that that distance from there to there is 50 mil, same as the lift. So it's as if Toyota intended this car to have a 2-inch body lift when it was made in 1996. Now, I don't even think body lifts were around back then. Okay, so pretty much this means that from factory, they've allowed for a 2-inch body lift, which is quite interesting because I don't know what the other hole was for, but it was not being used before. So now we've sort of seen here, now if you come over here, if you get the camera down in its arch, you can actually see the body lift itself. It's this big silver aluminium block thing here. So if you look at that, that is the body lift. Now, luckily where it is, it's actually hidden from the front. So this is the bar, and you can't even see it because you don't really want people to see that you have a body lift. So, and the reason you do a body lift is for bigger tires, as we know. So that's what it looks like. And if you come down here, you can actually see there's one over here, and there's another one here. And all it does, it literally just replaces, it puts that spacer between the body and the chassis, and now up through here there's a 2-inch gap, and then this is a new bolt, a new washer, and a new nut because you need to allow for that 2-inch lift. Okay, so now I'm just going to show you in the car where they are to access them. So if you come over here, there's one just under the seat over here, and then there's one here. You literally just rip up the carpet, and it's this plug here, and this plug should literally just come out with your fingers like so, and as you can see in there is the nut. So quite simple really. This is one of the easier ones to get to, but it's literally just a plug, and that just goes on there on the carpet like so. So you've got 4 on each side. So you've got 1, 2, one under the seat, one under the drivers, or including the bull bar it's 5, so you got the bull bar. But if you come over here, the last one's at the back of the car. So the last one is actually just under in here. Now, the only problem with this, if you come back here, if you squat down here, you can see, if you see these clips here, this is from the body lift. So these clips used to be hooked under this plate, but because of the body lift, there's now this 2-inch gap here. So what you could do is probably trim those off. These don't actually do much at all for structure, which is good, but there's just some minor adjustments you definitely have to make when you do the body lift. One of them is the rear bar, as you can see. 2 is the bull bar, that completely changes, and I'll show you that later. And 3rd is the gear stick inside the car, because the gear stick doesn't change, but the body does. So the whole body lifts up, and the gear stick doesn't move, which means it gets shorter. So I'll show you guys that next. Okay guys, so if you come in here, it's really hard to tell, but pretty much this used to be 2 inches higher. Like the height of this gear lever hasn't changed at all. Now, on manuals, you actually have to modify some of this plastic because it will get in the way and you'll hit it. But if you come over here, if you can see here, see how this gear lever for the full drive is pretty much almost touching the plastic here. Before it didn't do that. So this is because of the body lift. these haven't moved, but this has gone up 2 inches. So that's just another thing to keep in mind. And also your handbrake adjustment will have to change as well, because you're stretching all the cables. So a lot of the old cars, they can allow for body lifts because the wire can extend the 2 inches, but new cars, you can't really do body lifts. So it's quite interesting, but it's just a cheap way to get big tires on the car. Right, we're just under the car here at the front. Now, the bottom of this bull bar has this sort of, it's like aluminium, or at least on the stock bull bar, and it's literally just held on by 4 screws. Now, as you can see, the radiator is literally right there. That hasn't moved, but this bar has gone up 50 mil. So the issue we had was that this is the chassis rail and it's hitting the back of this. So this aluminium, we've actually bent it back a little bit because it's hitting this, because the last thing we want to do is grind the chassis just for an aluminium bull bar, which is not worth it. And it also makes the structural integrity a lot worse, as we know. But this is just things to consider. Because we lifted it up, this has all been modified. And also, this bull bar, you might be able to see up there, as you can see, there's 2 holes that don't have holes, and that hole at the top. That's where the bull bar used to be. So this used to be down here, and same with the top one. So we've had to drill a hole in the bull bar just to allow for that 2-inch lift, just to lift it up more. So yet again, there's just heaps of things you got to think about when you're doing a body lift. It's not that easy. And stuff like this. See this hose, how it's not connected anymore? Now I could just try and tie that back on, but it's just things like that. And for example, all this plastic here is disconnected. There used to be some, where these holes are, there used to be mats that connected up to protect all this from bog holes and stuff. Well, now they're all ripped off because they're not long enough. So these are just things you have to consider. But the advantage of a body lift is it's really cheap and you can get your big tires on there. So these are 32s, but I could put 35s on this and have no dramas. If you come over here, this is just a rubber mount. Now this used to be on the chassis, you can see it marked there. Now the 2-inch lift has done that much of the body lift. Now if you lower the camera a bit, you might be able to see, yeah, there you go. You can literally see through the other side of the car. Now I'm just saying, this is not like the best look. It looks a bit silly looking through the other half of the car because you just see a white gap of daylight. Now I know I sound ridiculous, but this is like a real thing. When I was looking at doing the body lift, so many people were complaining that you can just see through the car. It looks stupid. But as you can see, these are just things that happen when you do the body lift, and you can see all the wires, and you can see the gas lines, the exhaust. So these are just things you have to think about when you're doing your body lift, because now when you're standing really far away, you can actually see through the car. And you know, if you like that look, that's great. But yet again, you do the body lift because you can put 35s on it. I could put 35 on there, no scrubbing, no worries. If you come back here, all the gas, the LPG system hasn't changed height either as well, because that's all connected to the chassis. But all the lines and hoses would have extended and stretched 50 mil. So yeah, just things you have to consider. What I'm going to do now, I'm just going to do some voiceovering of some photos that I've got of me doing the body lift and how we did it. So I'll put those in there, and then you get a better idea how we did it, because at the time I did the body lift, I did not have a YouTube channel, so I didn't film any of it. So here we have a photo of Ben and the body lift. Now, if I just zoom in here, you can see it's very sketchy, and we literally have a plank of timber and a high lift jack on the side of the car. Now, this is how we lifted the car up. You do one half at a time. Now, although it looks very sketchy and dodgy, it actually works very well, and it's sort of the most safe method we could think of, because we don't have a forklift or anything. And as you can see there, that timber is just spreading the load out over that panel, so it's not damaging it, and we're able to get the lift we have and we need to do. Now, this shot here, it's in the back left of the car. Now, what this is showing is, you can't really see it, but that black hole just there, in the middle of the screen, that is the hole to put the body lift in, and all these foam little sponge things, they were inside of there. Now pretty much you just have to take them out, move the carpet back like I've done there, pull that panel off about that much we have there, and then you can get your hands in that hole and really get that bolt out. And that's one of the washers from it down there actually. And now in this photo, this is the same angle, but as you can see, the jack is a lot higher now, and you can just see the gap between the lights and the bull bar there. Now, we were a bit lazy in the sense that we didn't really take that piece off, even though we knew it was bending.
So as you can see there, it's broken on the left, but the rest of it actually held on the whole time, which is great. And then pretty much what we're trying to do here is get it to the right height. Now, I reckon that's 2 inches there. That looks about 50 mil between the bottom of the light and the bull bar. And so that's what it sort of looks like. So that whole left half of the car is at the height it is. I would say at the front, probably not the back. But that sort of shows you. Now this is what the body lift looks like. If you don't know, just so it gives you a bit of a better idea. I've got a better photo of it. There it is. So pretty much that's the rear tire there. So it's right near the back. But how it works is you got a bolt that drops through the top of the body, and it's coming through the bottom. And then this is the chassis, the black thing here, and then there's the nut on bottom. So that this aluminium block here, that's obviously the 50 mil lift. And then you've got your stock rubber bumpers there and there that are still on. You're using the same ones. And then you got your big factory washer looking thing. And then you got the new Nolic nut and the washer there that came with the pack. So really in the body lift pack, what you're buying is the 50 mil aluminium block and the longer bolts to suit it. So, but you're keeping the factory rubbers and stuff like that. So that's sort of good. It's interesting because one of my mates, he had a body lift in his Holden, Colorado, in the tray, and he put the bolt in upside down. So the washers and the nut were in the cab. Now, like, that makes sense. That's good, right? Because that means it won't get muddy and the bottom of the bolt will be at the bottom. It'll look cleaner. But the one day, the whole bolt actually fell out, and it just fell out, and the body lift wasn't there, and it was just sagging. So the story is that if you put your bolts in like this way I have here, this is the way it shows in the map as well, then you won't have that problem. I know it's a bit ridiculous that it's falling out in the first place, but it did happen. So at least with this, if that washer or nut came off for some reason, it's not going anywhere. It's not going anywhere at all. And there's just another photo of the back one behind that one. So literally the exact same setup as you can see. Nut, washer, bumper stopper, and then the body lift. So now we're going to have a look at the bull bar. Now here we just have a photo of the car with no front grille or bull bar on. Now if I zoom in here, you can see one silver aluminium block on both sides, as you can see there. So that's the lift. The body lift is now in this photo. So what we had to do here was, obviously when you body lift, the bull bar is not moving because it's connected to the chassis. So there's a 2-inch gap that goes all the way around. Now, in some cars, the car actually almost allows for that, and you can literally leave it and it looks fine and normal. And that was the case for one of my mates. But for this Prado, I find the gap was just too ugly. So what we had to do here, this is the stock alloy bull bar that comes with my 1996 Prado. But as you can see here, we're just cutting a hole where that texture is in the bottom left, because pretty much we just have to lift the bull bar up 50 mil. So luckily the distance literally between these two holes, like this top one, is 50 mil. So all we had to do was drill a hole in that black texture there and put all the bolts back in, and it was good to go really, which is good because we didn't have to compromise the strength of it or anything. And then now in this photo here, this is before we put the this is like before we took the bull bar off. So this is the gap it had. As you can see, that's too much. That's 50 mil. And then there's the black plastic bending, as you can see there. So obviously we couldn't leave it like that because that gap's just ridiculous, as you can see there. Unless you get some garden edging filler, I don't know what you do there. But that's why we had to go for the bull bar lift. And it worked fine. And it literally looks fine now. It looks stock. So yeah, that's one thing to do, guys. Make sure you drill a hole, and that bull bar, the top of it's on the right for reference. So that's the bottom of the bull bar there. So here is the, I've explained this in the video, but I'll just go over it really quickly. But pretty much this is the radiator mount, and you have to move this. And pretty much right there where it's all white and circle, that is where that nut used to be. And then this hole down here was always there. And that little hook from the radiator, that was in this hole. So all we literally had to do was lower it 50 mil. And for some reason, from factory, Toyota have a circle right there, as if you're going to be doing a body lift. So all we had to do was literally unscrew that one bolt, hook her out, lower it into this new hole, hook her back in, put the screw in, done. Quickest, easiest job ever. I don't know why it's like this. This is the other side of the same radiator, just for proof. So same thing again, unscrew that, screw back in there, hook it back down there, boom. Had to drill no holes, didn't have to do anything, literally just had to move it. So that is an easy one. And you have to do that or your hose reels will kink and your car's not going to be drinking coolant very well and it's going to be terrible. So you have to do that. Now, I just thought this is just the instructions that came in my body lift. This is by Rhythm Off-Road, which if you go on the Facebook page will tell you, they'll link this because this is the good one to get, sort of thing. And this is just a photo of the the steering spacer. And it's just that aluminium block in the middle. And if you're under the car, it's very easy to see how it goes in. It's not rocket science. But I just thought I'd show that photo there. And then this is just another sort of random photo, just to show you. Now, this is one of the front. Now, in this stage, the left half is lifted and the right isn't. And you can see that because if you look at the Toyota badge, it's on the side.
I'm afraid that's the end of the video. Thanks so much for watching. Hope you got a little bit of advice or something useful out of it if you want to do a body lift yourself. Because when I was doing mine for my car, there was nothing out there. There was forums, but there was no videos on YouTube. There was only one for a 4Runner, and he was a New Zealand guy, and it was helpful, but it's not this exact car. So, but the forums are very helpful. If you go on Facebook, there's a lot of stuff on there. The Prado 90 group on Facebook, and yeah, because you probably don't want to mess around with stuff if you don't know what you're doing, sort of thing. But yeah, get a mate, get a beer, and I'm sure you'll smash it out just fine. So guys, that's the end of the video. Hope you guys enjoyed, and I'll catch you guys in the next one.